This video is not to be alarmist, but people do actually use other people's information to apply for apartments and homes, as well as many other things. But the rental property industry really takes the cake. So we're going to explain why rentals are such a magnet for fraudulent applications, and we're going to tell you how to protect yourself for free. So let's get started. This episode of American Landlord is brought to you by USHomeValue.com, where you can find out the value of almost any home in less than 24 hours. Rental housing fraud is common for two reasons. First, many landlords are often too focused on filling their vacancy, so they don't take the necessary steps to properly ID their applicants. So when they're presented with an application, they run their standard credit check, the report comes back okay, everything's looking good, so they approve the tenant that just used your information. And this is what brings us to the second reason why rental housing has so much fraud. Most of the time, nothing is reported. In other words, when someone uses your information, you'll never know, because there won't be an account created on your credit file. It's not like they're opening up a credit card. They just needed to pass the credit screening for an apartment. Boom. There you go. The only time something would show up is if they open a utility account and don't bother to pay for it. And just in case, if you're wondering about any damages or unpaid rent, well, the reality is that most landlords do not report to the credit bureaus. Even if an eviction was filed, it would not show up on a credit report. So nothing is usually reported. So what can you do to protect yourself? You may place a security freeze on each of your credit files. They're free and will prevent a landlord, as well as any other new creditors, from accessing your credit report to process an application. And don't worry, you may lift your freeze at any time if you and only you intend on applying for any type of credit. This way, you maintain control. Now, before we tell you how to freeze your credit reports, here's where you can monitor your credit files for free once a year under the FACT Act. There's no need to pay for a monthly monitoring service. Once a year is plenty to stay on top of what's being reported about you. So go to annualcreditreport.com to get your free credit reports. Don't worry about paying for your credit score either, because there's a good chance it won't be the same score that your creditor receives. You just need to focus on reviewing your credit files to see if the account information and credit inquiries are being accurately reported. Anytime your credit file is pulled by a landlord or any other creditor, an inquiry will be recorded and remain on file for 2 years. So you have plenty of time to look out for any fishiness. And should you discover any fishies, you can report your case here at identitytheft.gov. This is the Federal Trade Commission. It has information and recovery plans for more than 30 types of fraudulent activity, including tax refund fraud, as well as the stolen identity of a minor. And finally, this is how you freeze your credit files. Contact each of these companies, yes, all three, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, it's easier to initiate the security freeze online, but you do have the option if you want to contact them by regular old snail mail. By law, each credit bureau must freeze and unfreeze your credit file for free if you request it. You can even freeze your child's credit file as long as they're under the age of 16. Here are the types of information you should be prepared to provide. Your full name, including middle initial and suffix, such as junior, senior, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know those families that only know one name. Your social security number, date of birth, current address, all addresses where you have lived during the past 2 years, email address, a copy of a government-issued photo identification, such as a driver's license or state ID, as well as a copy of a utility bill, bank, or insurance statement. And that's a wrap. This is all you'll need to know for now. So bundle up. It's time to start freezing.